Hello and welcome to Sao Paulo to the Tech Capital's LATAM Finance Forum 2025. I'm now joined by Jeff Ferry, Board Advisor for Elea Data Centers. And Jeff, welcome to Brazil. We were just talking about how hot it is back home.
Yeah, it's a nice change. Yeah, it's like really unexpected, nice. But nice change here. Yeah.
But look, this is our first event in South America. How are you finding the day today? I've seen you sitting in a lot of sessions. You've been around networking with people. What's your take, especially coming from North America, where the events industry is way more developed?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think the timing is great, because of the build out and all the things going on in Brazil, with our announcement of the AI city in Rio, with the additional customers looking to be built out in Brazil, and some of the discussion around the change in the tax regime, all are positive, I think, for not only Brazil but LATAM. For getting additional kind of capacity, so it's very timely.
Well, speaking of capacity, Elea is working on a tremendous, huge, gigantic, enormous, I don't even know the word, project in Rio de Janeiro, so the AI city. It's 3.2 gigawatts. It's about $65 billion in investment, because they came out this morning. We saw the announcement this morning. What's driving a demand for something like that? How can a project that big exist?
Yeah, so it's a good
market?
question, right? So first is like there's a lot of work that goes into the front end, right? Our business, our company, the people in it, Alessandro and the management team, working with the city, working with the community to kind of purport and build Rio as a potential, kind of like AI, kind of site for additional compute. We have an existing site. We have a lot of land and power that would then facilitate this build. So the first thing is having the capacity and the ability to do it, right? And then the second is, kind of promoting that to the customer base, right? That would use this as their AI city for, for the large language models and the GPUs. And so as part of that, Alessandro and the Elea team led a group, that can include the finance minister, the mayor of Rio, other folks to the West Coast, where all the customers, West Coast of US, where all the customers are, right? And introducing them and talking about the benefits and the advantages of Rio as a site, and trying to get them to come down. So you got to marry those two things together, right? You have to have the capacity, you have to have the regional and local support of the government and the municipality, and you have to have the customer base interested in, kind of things. So I think those are converging together nicely to be able to bring together a fantastic project, that has interest, will gain momentum, and is just in the initial stages, right? With some of the announcements that have come over the last couple of days.
Okay, and then of course it's a tremendous amount of money. It's a tremendous tranche of capital. What is the timeline for investment? Because it's not going to be 65 billion in one go.
Correct.
What's the timeline for that, and how do you kind of de-risk an investment of this magnitude? And again, especially from an emerging markets perspective.
Right. So a lot of it depends upon the customer's timing, right? It's like you have to have everything prepared. You have to have everything ready, right? The land, the power, the facilities, and the ability to build, right? And then you have to show, like at that same time, the backlog of equipment that would help facilitate that, right? And those go hand in hand with then the customer interest to be able to say, yes, I need this capacity at this point of time. So you're right. It's not $65 billion in one slug, right? It'll be incremental as you go, but it is a lot of capital. It is a lot of work, and so. But it starts one building at a time, right? One customer at a time, one building, and then and you build from there and gain momentum. And as that grows and builds, it helps raise additional capital and build credibility to then kind of move on to the next step. So a lot of work involved, but it's also a lot of fun.
Okay, and I guess one of the big one of the big supporters of the project has been the local administration, especially the Rio de Janeiro City Hall, the mayor, the governor, and of course all the way down to Brasilia, but especially in Rio de Janeiro have been really, really involved in the project. They are here today as well.
Yeah.
Why is it important to have those guys involved in a project like this? And then beyond them, why are PPPs so important for the development of a project like this.
Yeah, so
like
I think, it's all, no matter where you're at, whether it be in the U.S. or in Europe or, or here, you have to gain local support and probably federal support, right? So you have to work with the local municipalities on, zoning and power and just, but it also is appealing to them, right? Because it draws attention, it brings capital, it brings jobs, right? I mean, if whatever number you use, right? If it's like 10 billion, 30 billion, $65 billion, like that amount of money coming into the community is game changing, right? Yeah. And it puts, not that Rio is not on the board already and not, not internationally recognized, but you also have places, I think Alessandro mentioned it during the thing, like when these companies want to invest, they need to have someplace, like it's going to be a compute city, right? So they need to have people where people can live, where they want to live, where they can build a community. And so you have this, kind of like what I would call a rolling stone, right? It keeps going and growing, and so you build. It not only builds probably an AI compute city, but it builds everything around it too, right? And the area we're in is already well developed, right? It has, hospitals and hotels and commercial and residential and retail. That area will blossom, and additional residential will have to go in place, additional retail, right? So I think it creates an economic bubble in that area, and so it's good for the community.
It's a city.
Yeah,
it creates a new city. Is Elea looking into exporting this into other countries? Because this is something that could easily work, for example, in South Asia, Southeast Asia. It could be something that could work in some European countries. Are you looking at that?
So right now, obviously, we got a lot on our plate to execute, not only on AI City, but the rest of our business. And we have capacity in Sao Paulo. We have sites in Brasilia, Porto Alegre, and Curitiba, right? And so our focus, and I think I would definitely emphasize focus, right? I think focus is a very important thing on execution, right? So we have a lot of capital raised, we have a lot of execution. I think right now we're focused on Brazil, and not even could this export into Chile or Colombia. Right now we're focused on Brazil. There's plenty of capacity. There's plenty of things to do, and so I think it creates a very nice opportunity to really be all in for Brazil, with Brazilian investors and without international investors.
Yeah. It's actually the headline of our new magazine, All In on Brazil. So
All In on Brazil.
So actually, we're on.
I did read it. Maybe that's where I came from, right?
Maybe. But Jeff, so of course we are now at the first Tech Capital Latin Finance Forum here in Sao Paulo. When we come back here in 12 months' time, in 2026, what's the one thing you think needs to happen in this market to really change it? What's one thing you would like to happen?
Well, hopefully it'll be warmer.
Yeah.
Apart from
weather.
Besides the
Actually,
weather.
I do like this, to be honest. It's 46 degrees back home.
So. I would say, we've talked about the local levels. I think you heard it in the panels. I think the tax regime, the relief of some of the federal taxes on import of equipment. I think this, as you said, the public-private partnership, if not formalized, at least informally, of working with a government, of saying, listen, Brazil has a lot of what I would call check-the-box advantages, right? Lots of power, green power, excess power, workforce, economy, land, and so water, all the things that are instrumental in building a world-class platform. We need some additional economic, I wouldn't even say incentives. We need to eliminate some of the disincentives that maybe exist in the government today and in Brazil today. That will I use this term a lot, will reduce the friction of being able to invest capital into Brazil. Yeah. And with that, those other advantages really come to light and allows a free-flowing, economic system to work. So very exciting times, very interested in seeing what happens over the next 12 months, as you said.
Yeah, and especially emerging markets, they change so fast, faster than mature markets.
It does.
Where the conversations do stall a little bit, like we're seeing in many other markets.
Yeah, for sure.
Jeff Ferry, Board Advisor for Elea Data Centers, thank you so much for talking to me. As for your home, thank you for watching, and do check our websites and social media channels for the latest digital infrastructure news from across the globe. At the Tech Capital, you lead, we report. Bye for now.
Thank you.